Hello. Oh, I'm starting not even in the right position there. Oh, I changed my camera again. I'm late today. I was late to start with, just a few minutes, and then I had some, and I still have some connection issues. So I'm streaming in like 720p, and it's still dropping frames. And I need to figure out what's going on because I had something fairly stable for a while, and then now it's just rubbish. Anyways, we'll just power on, see what that goes. I haven't touched a piece of code in maybe a week. Didn't write any code. I'm at 0. Like, it's not like I have like 0 connection. Let me check something because I wonder if this is. What does this do? Okay, this stops the server. What happens when I stop the server? Stable-ish, still goes down. 4, 1, 9. I just like tanks non-stop. Okay, I don't think it's related to that. But let's just ignore that for now. That phone is heating up. Oh, it's because it's charging at the same time. All right. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I need to set up a real internet connection to here where I stream, because what I have is not working. Anyways, I'll just try to do something, and if it's unusable, too bad. So we were working on. Actually, I don't even need this plugin support.h, right? Not really. Okay, working on here. Oh, this was somewhat used. No, working on this. I think you can do make install, and it does everything. And then if I go here, for example, and say OBS Studio, launch anyway, normal mode. In one of the, I could go in starting soon. I can add the IP cam. And then I get something. Now, I do seem to remember that it was actually easier for me to have a terminal open and to run OBS like that. Normal mode, and then from there I got this thing, right? And then connection refused. It's because the server is not running. But it's great because I can actually just now start the server. I'm filming the floor. OBS, launch anyway, run in normal mode. And now I'm back to where I was, which is I'm getting tons of stuff. But yeah, so where I was before, yeah, I seem to remember that this 9A and A8, actually that's not the case. I had this page open, and basically I seem to be remembering that I was basically looking at a stream of data that was containing JPEG headers, right? That was the idea. I don't know, I was doing it's an E7, D6, 4, I don't remember exactly. But yeah, oh, that's nice E. Right, to summarize where we're at, we have a OBS plugin that I basically created texture on render that is mapped to some kind of memory that I have, which right now is sending some red into a 120 by 120 source. On the other hand, I am connecting to an IP camera serving some MJPEG, motion JPEG over HTTP, and I have a client that can connect to the HTTP server, parse the headers, and catch things like this, content length something, and then now just needs to read the frames. Now the frame of the MJPEG is actually a MIME thing. It's a multipart message. So in the original headers, I'm actually able to find the frontier magic thing that defines the boundary of something. And with the -- frontier, followed by some headers, finished with a \r\n, the body of the message is in there. So in a bit of a dumb way, I'm just going to right now just assume that all of that data is sorry about that. All that data is a JPEG. And first, I'm going to allocate some memory somewhere, a big amount, where I'm going to start buffering all of the JPEG into. And when it's finished, I'm either going to do like a copy into where the data is currently. And even if it's mangled, I should see something that is something. And then in the future, I'll just do double buffering, and I need to add STB image to decode the image. That's the plan. So first, let me get back into like the flow of the code there. So I got a state. I think in my state, I am going to put the in here. I'm going to say, I mean, really, it's char star buffer, right? And yeah, so it's just char star because I don't have anything. And on, so I'm not gonna have read header. Read header was interesting because that's a that's kind of a thing that I could eventually make into something that I may want to reuse across stuff, because I do reading headers. I connect to a client that's HTTP. You can want to read headers, so you can want to do that all the time. So it's something that I want to look into eventually. I was looking earlier today at SIMD instructions for string comparison and different algorithms that exist, and I don't know if there's some of the libc stuff that already implements that or not. If not, I'm interested in potentially looking into making a library for parsing HTTP headers, like super specific library, right? Just parse HTTP headers, but mega optimize it for the scenario where you know the headers that you can expect. So rather than just, oh yeah, list all of the ones that you have, or like build a structure like a hash map. Instead of that, you just at build time, you kind of know which headers you're expecting to have. And these are like pre-hashed, and they use SIMD instructions to very efficiently find them in a string. Anyways, let's looking at, so thread start is when I connect, and maybe this is where I should look at the memory for this. I'm not too sure. Yeah, the other thing is that I'm going to get content length all the time, so I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. So awaiting boundary, awaiting headers. And this is where I kind of want to have a place here where if I reach header end, because here I'm just printing everything, and if I find the boundary, I say found, and I'm not doing anything else. So here what I should do is, if it's awaiting data, I get the data. What I should do is, if state, so here we should have reached the, this is the first time that we're going into header. So the first time we're going into awaiting data, so we're transitioning to awaiting data. States awaiting data. I want state buffer malloc, and I'm going to say, I don't really know what number I'm going to put there, because from what I've seen here, this is kind of like what I'm expecting, like around this value. So I'm going to put that for now. I'll read it later. Well, actually here I'm actually reading bound key and bound value. So I could just try to, let me do it properly. So I'm printing bound key and bound value, but I'm not really seeing bound key and bound value. Right, so maybe I'm doing something wrong here. So awaiting boundary as I received. It looks like I go into awaiting data a bit early. So let me try to run it again and see what I can gather if I quickly stop this. So I do like, I get like tons of received. So maybe I'm not doing the thing properly. Okay, so new key, new value. Okay, boundary is this. Received content length this, then receive, receive, received. So I said boundary is, so I found the boundary. There you go. And it's here, boundary is. And then at the end of that, I should move to awaiting boundary. And if I am awaiting boundary, I'm starting to type receive. So received is only when I'm awaiting the boundary. And then I try to look for these characters, at what point I will print found. I'm not seeing found. Because I'm receiving content length there. And then I'm receiving a bunch of stuff. And I feel like I may be receiving an entire frame before I find the first boundary. I mean, I'm still received here. I've been reading received so many times, I don't even know if this is spelled correctly. It feels like it ran differently this time. I did not seem to receive the boundary. I'm not seeing it anywhere. Yeah, it's odd that it's slightly different this time. Unless the other time I ran it for long enough that it's just by luck it just started working-ish. Not really. Let me see. This seems correct. I get a bunch of line returns here, which I'm not exactly sure what that is. What would I print? Without received, it's odd. I'm not printing found. Yeah, so if I'm awaiting boundary, I actually go in and scan headers in that same buffer that I've received. And then if I'm awaiting header, I just do the same thing. So it would be interesting to see if I could just do a go to instead. Like I could move the buffer. Yeah, not really. I could start the read header and then just give it the same state. Well, I'm just getting instructed there. Okay, so okay, the difficulty here is that awaited boundary receives some stuff, but none of them have the boundary. From what I can understand, because I'm legit just like printing everything. Like I'm printing the entire thing, right? I'm not limiting it. I'm printing what I received and the buffer. But when I'm in awaiting boundary, I'm not printing it. Like, is there more? No, not really. That's just the header, right? What's that state? Connected, yeah. So here, boundary is this, and then I'm getting received. So I'm not actually, it doesn't seem like I'm getting I'm a bit rusty. I mean, it's been a week, so we'll see. I'll run it one more time because it seems like I had a different behavior last time. I'm going to need to run it again because I was not. Right, I wanted to go fast this time. So yeah, I get a bunch of receive quickly, and yeah, so now I'm getting some kind of consistent thing. I'm definitely not getting this in there, which is odd. So it's either the server is just not doing the right thing, but it seems like it does because I'm getting all of this properly. Connection close server, IP cam, no cache, content part, and I don't know if I'm getting the same thing. But yeah, it seems like I'm getting frames. I wonder if I change the setting somewhere here and it doesn't behave the same way. So let me see. Stop the server. Let's see what I'm doing. my video preferences, main camera, secondary camera, video resolution, photo location. Yeah, there's not really anything in there. I'm going to restart the server, see what that does. Okay, now it's weird that it did something different this time. I find it weird. Unless I'm mistaken. It's also weird that I can't scroll past this. It's not that much data. Why would it crop my, should I say, crimp my style? Okay, it's going to be the same thing, isn't it? See, I'm getting a bunch of content length here. And D8E0, is that the one? D8E0, yeah. So this time it was fine. Ah, but I do get a bunch of received stuff, so I'm not doing that first part correctly, seemingly. Unless I went back in my history again. Let me clear it and run OBS, launch anyway, normal mode, and stop it. Let's see. Try to scroll all the way there. Okay, so yeah, so I'm back to this bunch of received and okay, so let's just see. I think I've got a state problem where I'm not understanding the way the server works properly. So I'm getting boundary is, and should I immediately jump? Ah, could the boundary be in the same packet? Right? Maybe. Star dot, no, it's not star, but you see what I mean. And then here I kind of want the whole buffer. Let's just make it very verbose. Make install. I may want to like mute all of those, or just like stop the plugin once I'm done, because this is like, yeah, it's just printing way too much. So I really need to like get this to shut up, and maybe these two as well. Yeah, so it seems like within the same buffer I have this. So I think what I need to do is to allow myself to restart the, not the read loop, but the consumption loop. Yeah, I'm going to do something like that. So right now what I'm doing is my loop there in thread start here reads and then assumes that within the packet that it received, it has all of the thing to move to the next state. But I actually need a state loop, which is going to basically let me do something like, actually I can move a pointer to the buffer, but the problem is that this buffer, I don't want to lose the pointer to that. So what I'm going to have to say is call it cursor, but I do worry that something is called cursor, in which case I am going to paste it right there and just reuse it. So I get this cursor. Okay, great. So what I can do actually is right here. Oof, I really don't know if this is going to be the best way to do it. So I can do this, and then the one that I had an issue with was this one. Well, which one was it? I'm printing buffer is, so that's the one. So when I found the boundary, what I want to do is cursor equals, and I want the end of the boundary, so it's going to be value end, right? What the fuck is value? Value doesn't exist. Value length. Value plus value length is gonna see. Now the thing I need to make sure also is that when I read, I do want to say cursor equals buffer. So I want to reset that. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Now this already uses cursor for all of its stuff. Great. Here you are going to want to use cursor and cursor, right? Cursor plus 4, and actually realistically there I can do cursor plus equal 4 because I want to move the stuff, and here I don't need to worry about the plus 4 everywhere. So here I can say cursor, okay, state boundary plus 2, sure, why not, cursor, 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 cursor. Okay, I'm not using it anywhere. Okay, great. In here, when I'm awaiting the headers, was it awaiting headers or was it somewhere else? Bound key found. Ah no, here boundary is cursor plus length, and I'm gonna say now how do I end this? The way I end this is to say that the cursor is at the end of the thing, right? So this is where I need to figure out something out, because this is going to do a read header, and this is header found, and if it's not header found, it's just going to then go out of it and say it's fine, but I need something else, right? Because this here, when it finds the boundary, I should automatically await the boundary, right? So move the cursor, await the boundary, go to state loop, okay? But if you come here, you should break, and then just even like do something really bad, like return 1. I don't know if this is really possible. Like, how do I stop if something goes wrong there? I just break, don't I? Yeah. Okay, and here I should say printf could not find boundary. Now the problem is I can't really do that, because if I do that and my boundary header comes across two things, I don't really want to. So I don't want to break if I come here. If I come here, I should just continue receiving data until I'm there, right? So that's what I should do. So that's going to go, let's say blue cursor is going to be moved. That's going to move me to a waiting boundary, which means I'm going to arrive here at cursor, and I'm going to be trying to looking for these things. Now hopefully, because based on what I just saw here, the problem is that I do provide a line return in there, but this is what it gives me, and I should end, and I get 2 of them, which means I should be getting 1 plus this, which is going to move me in the right place. Now the other thing is, it allows me to have this double reading of the headers skipped. So I don't need to have, because now I can actually do, if I find the boundary in the data, I can say found, and I don't need to start moving. I can just say state state equals state awaiting headers, go to state loop, okay, which means I can remove all of these. There you go. And now it means that basically it's gonna set this jump and come here. When it comes here, it's gonna read the stuff. Now buffer needs to become cursor, because I'm actually reading this stuff. And when I finish here, if I get header end, so this is where I need to change the logic there. If I get header end, well, this one's a bit different. Like I should expect a content size, content length for each of them. If I don't have one, then I should probably just expect that. So when I get either end, like if I get end, and I didn't get the content length, then that's a problem. So in reality, I should say if ret is header end, I wonder if what I need to do here is break and say print log error. I think that's how it works. And I kind of want to say missing content length in frame header. I think that's going to be our message here, and I can break. Okay. Now what that means is in here I should be able to say something like if strncmp key content length key length, if it's 0, then this is where I also want to compare the thing. strncmp, if I remember well, I'm doing it right, and okay, great. Now I yank this and I basically go, instead of content length, I don't need to do an strncmp actually. The only thing I need to do is to something like this with unfortunately this does not seem to exist. A to I. Okay, great. And then it's unfortunately it's a C string. So I either make an strn dupe. I don't know if there's a to a n. Let me check. A to I. None of them str to L. Give me str to L. End pointer and base. End pointer, like it tells you when it finishes to read it. Converts the initial part of the string to a long integer value according to the given base, which must be between 2 and 36. May begin with an arbitrary amount of white space. Okay, so I think it's going to do something that I want anyways. But I do want to str to L with value null, because I don't need the end pointer for that, and then base 10. So it's kind of like the same thing anyways, but it's kind of like stupid. So here I'm going to say, what do you return? A long, which is a uin 6040. Hopefully it's not negative. I don't know if it handles negative values, but it shouldn't. And then here I can say state buffer equals malloc val. And the only thing I need to do as well is state buffer and free it. I don't know if you can free now. Something I need to learn. It's interesting because it's in std. Do I use stdlib? I don't know. Nullable. Oh, great! So I can be a bit. Okay. So this will then put me into state. State is state awaiting data, which lets me go to, because there could be data in there, I guess, in the same packet. State loop, and this is inequality for some reason. Okay. Missing break, you can just get this, can just disappear, and then there I'll just like, I don't know why awaiting data is looking for the boundary. Like, I shouldn't have that. Okay, let's try some initial test. Okay, I'm not getting much, but I also don't think I'm printing anything. So I'm gonna have to do, well, actually I am printing something here, bound key, bound value. And I think one of the problems that I have is that I made it a null terminated string, so technically I can't move through. I'm not using cursor here, but when I say go to state loop here, it is not necessarily doing the right thing, because I may be coming back here without the cursor moving. So I do need to have something that says, oh, by the way, oh, but I've moved the, oh no, here I haven't moved the cursor, so that's going to be a problem. I need to set cursor to value plus value length. I think I might need to do here as well when I say awaiting headers there, because I'm moving cursor here, and then I compare, like I find the boundary, but I'm not moving it. So I can say cursor equals cursor plus strlen of state boundary. Would that work? So that means I could do plus equal, right? So here I'm moving it by 4. So how do I do this? Because the reality is here, if I'm awaiting boundary, I'm doing an strncmp. So like if I don't get this exact string at the beginning of the buffer, I'm not doing anything. I'm not waiting on the next packet, right? In reality, I should do an str of the double dash and the boundary, and everything before that is just kind of like discarded, right? I think that would make more sense. It's a bit nasty, but I think it would make more sense. So if I do str cursor, now this is going to be a problem because I can't really, I guess that's why I needed the 2-step thing, because right now I can't construct the boundary with the double dash at the beginning. I'm going to do something a little bit stupid, but I'm going to say state boundary. So I'm going to say yeah, this. So I'm going to say char star found equals this. So if found is different from null, and found -1 equals dash is really not that great. And found -2 then this is what I need there, right? This is found and this thing. At what point what I need to do is to move the cursor to found plus strlen state boundary. Let's do something like that, right? It's not great, but basically I'm saying find the boundary in the string while you're awaiting it. If you find it and the 2 characters at the beginning before that are 2 dashes, which is a huge issue because if the thing is at the beginning, I'm just going to underflow. Print found, go to, I'm looking for the headers, and then just do something. And I'm moving the cursor to go at the end. Now the thing is, when I come here, awaiting header is going to start to do read headers. And if I am at the end, or if there was something wrong, there's an termination, if it's not passed properly, I guess it'll just say that's the end and just continue. Not too sure. I have a problem like moving up to the beginning of the state, like if I'm at the end of a packet, like is it just going to cause an issue? So missing content length in frame header. So I get found, and the problem that I have is that I kind of reach the end, and I loop. Well, in reality, I should probably just assume that it may be in another packet. Okay, well, segfold, but that's fine. Bound value is 87503. So I say found, bound key, content length, and bound value is this. So it's great because it's strncmp key and key length. Which I think, now that I'm looking at it, may be wrong. No, that's correct. That's the size at the end. And I did str to L, then I do a malloc, and I move a cursor, and I say awaiting data, and I move here. Now here is gonna have to be cursor. Now I don't understand why I'm trying to find something here. I shouldn't. I should really just say print the hex values of the first things, right? Just to get started with. I want to see if it goes there, otherwise I'm gonna have to, okay. So I think it may be in here. It's possible that value is not really, like I'm going out of bound with value. Shouldn't, because value is within cursor. Cursor points to the buffer, so I should be able to find the null termination thing. Is it freeing the state? Like this? Maybe it wasn't initialized to null. Don't know if state was initialized correctly. Okay, that may have been the issue. So now, seemingly, I am getting into the right place. And now, should be around here. I am getting a value, and I'm getting the D8 and the E0 that I'm looking for. But before that, I'm getting this, which may be some leftover garbage. Because what is this in? Oh, I'm not gonna find that. My drop frames is much better than usual. Yeah, I guess if I'm not reading everything, I may have some issues. Let me see. Buffer null. I was trying to free something that I shouldn't have. Then I malloc every time I come here. That's fine. Here I guess I was looking for the boundary, because I wanted to make sure I filled the thing. So I guess what I'm missing here is the size here. So I'm going to store that in my state buffer and uint. I'm going to do a size t. I'm going to call these. It's not great because I call it buffer for something else as well. I will probably rename most of that. Here is going to become state buffer length, and then state buffer length. Realistically, I don't want to do a malloc for every time. I'll just allocate some memory at the beginning and just see what I can do with that. So with that setup, I will like here to basically say copy into, and this is where I need a position. So I guess what I could do is buffer. No, I need the length as well. Remaining, which I'm going to set to length. Remaining length. Great. So now in state buffer plus state buffer length minus state buffer remaining. I think that's the logic, right? I get the full length minus that. So at the beginning they're going to be the same, it's going to be 0, yeah, and then as it grows it gets bigger and bigger. And I want to copy into that cursor, and the amount that I want to copy is I guess like everything until the end of cursor. So I could do a strlen because I've made it a C string, right? And then now I can say cursor. To be honest, I don't really care. I'm going to copy the entire thing in there. I should try to be safe and say whichever of the smallest one, because if I have data, yes, if I have data left over, I kind of want to move to the right state and move the cursor. So I think I need to make sure that I do the right thing. So size t, chunk size equals. Now I need to do strlen of cursor if that is bigger than state buffer length. Actually it's buffer remaining. So if it's more than buffer remaining, then I want state buffer remaining. I don't want to do more than that. And that needs to be a question mark, and that needs to be here. I need to use this, otherwise strlen of cursor. Now I'm repeating some stuff, hopefully it optimizes some of the stuff. And here I just need to say chunk size. Now I kind of don't want to go to the loop right away. I kind of want to say if so chunk size is going to be like how much I copied. So cursor at chunk size -1 is 0, and here I'm going to say if it's not 0, then I can say cursor plus equal chunk size and say go to state loop. But that's the thing that is weird. Like I'm gonna want to basically okay, what I need to do instead is if instead of doing this I need to do if let me think. If the remaining data that I'm expecting reaches 0, right, and hopefully this should like land perfectly because this chunk size reading, right, this thing handles it. I can say state remaining buffer remaining minus equal chunk size, and the reality is that if there's more in the buffer left, then it will be state remaining. So I'm going to remove itself from itself, which is going to become 0, right? That's the idea. Now, if it is 0, then I do want to change the state, which is going to become a waiting boundary. This is going to try to look for the boundary, and whatever happens, I do need to move the cursor with chunk size, right? Now, the problem that I have, state loop. The problem that I have here is that if this is the other way around, where I've finished the buffer, like if this end of the buffer, the packet that I just received is also the end of the frame, then this is going to go into a waiting boundary with an empty string. And actually I've moved cursor to like right beyond its thing, technically. Actually not really, because string length is not going to take into account the 0, so it's just at the end. And a waiting boundary is going to come here and do string, and it's not going to find it actually. I guess that's where it's easy, because it's going to say not going to find it and just skip. Okay, so that should work, and I don't need to do this. I can just delete this and then see where that goes. And then I'm just, for the sake of it, I'm just going to say this there. Now, log, is it print log? Log info reading data. And awaiting headers. And I'm just going to say found. Okay. Let's see if that is kind of readable. Normal mode. So I'm supposed to get this many. Okay. Right. So I'm getting tons of read data. Okay. On top of reading data, I'm going to say %d with state remaining, buffer remaining. Interesting enough that it lets me do this when this is a size T and D is, I think it's because it's kind of a forward of a variadic function, so it doesn't really, let me do that. Ah, okay, so I do go to a fairly low number and then it stops there. So I think like it probably doesn't get anything else. It's kind of a big amount of data, right? I guess I get 89 and it stops there. And it's possible that I either get stuck in a loop here, but I stop reading data. It's possible that I'm here and it doesn't find it, so technically I should read something else. Maybe I miss it and then I just never find it. I don't know what I'm supposed to get after that. But anyways, let's do that. And STB image it. Right. Copy. I'm not even gonna bother. New. What's the name of the file? stb_image.h. New stb image. I'm going to put it in src. Okay. Now in here, I'm going to very simply do define stb I implementation. I think that's the one. Or unless it's like stb image, I don't know. Include stb image.h. So autocomplete works in there. Now stb implementation, stb image implementation is literally in there. stb image. Now I want to say decode JPEG. STBI decode JPEG image. I think that's the one I want. Load JPEG image. Maybe not. I wonder if instead of doing all this, I should just, I think there's probably this in here. Okay. You can define before including always use assert h and define malloc to avoid using malloc. Okay, so interesting. Primarily of interest to game developers and other people who can avoid problematic images and only need a trivial interface. JPEG baseline progressive. Okay, so there may be some issues that could cause some issues. Image format. Sean Barrett. I think I've seen the name Sean Barrett before. Yes, there's two R's. Okay. What is going on? OBS. Just like you started going crazy, started having fun. Like, why do you start eating my... We've been doing the same thing for a while now. Is it because I scrolled and you didn't like that? Anyways. Documentation. Basic usage. STBI load. Oh, so I think it uses the... it probably uses the magic. How can I use STBI without loading the file? Pixel data. Query STBI info with a file name. Read from arbitrary sources. Package file, other sources. That's what I want. The three functions you must define are read, skip, and EOF. So it's kind of what I want. SMD support, no, look at that. HDR, iPhone. So I do want the callbacks. So yeah, that's the callbacks. User data, the data that field data within device. Okay. Okay, so load from memory. Oh, actually, load from memory is probably what I need. That's probably the easiest. And it returns some stuff. So yeah, STBI load from memory is what I'm gonna want. So let's see. Once I reach this in here, STBI load from memory. Okay. Now what's the signature of that? The buffer length and the length. So the buffer is going to be easy. It's going to be state buffer, and the length is going to be state buffer length. Super easy. Then I have X, Y, comp, and rec comp, which I don't exactly remember those. I guess those are pointers. So X, Y. These are dimensions. Oh, look at that. Channels in files and desired channels. Oh, you can provide the desired channels. It's interesting. So here I should be able to do UN32T X Y. So that's going to be, actually it's going to be width, height, UN32T channels. And here I can say width, height, channels. I'm expecting 3 in this instance. So problem with different sign. So this one says unsigned to something that's signed. Okay, so let's just go like this, right? And here the problem is this is expecting a unsigned char for buffer. You know what? I will accept that because I do now remember that this is signed by default. Okay, so now that I've got this image loaded, this should give me a unsigned char, maybe even const unsigned char pixels. I think that's what I have there. Now I am tempted to just do a open, write the pixels, close, call it .jpeg and try IMV. I think that's probably the easiest thing to do. So what I'm going to do is maybe I do f open, try that, file star f equals f open slash home slash poll slash workspace slash OBS IP cam slash out dot JPEG write f write the file, what I'm writing, the size and how many. So pixels width times height times channels. I'm gonna have to do BMP, right? IMV read raw pixels. That's gonna be a problem because I can't just write. I'm gonna have to do. Okay, let's do something else first, and let's do state buffer length 1 and file and state buffer f close f. Let's try that for now, and let's just have fun. Hopefully it finished reading, and I should also go to workspace and OBS IP cam. There's a file, and that does not seem to be correct. File out.jpg is data. Okay, so it might not have the right thing at the beginning. Can I do some kind of hex dump? Yeah. So can I do head out JPEG hex dump? And that does not seem to be JPEG data is what I'm getting. So to debug that, I may want to print something like this. Add cursor. To see how my cursor moves. I also find it insane that it takes so long to even get something. Also that value that I saw, like I don't have it here, right? Do I? Yeah, it's here. That value that I get here, what is that? That is huge, right? 60, we're talking like 87,000 bytes. So it's like 87K for one frame. Actually, that's not that bad. It just takes a while to come, doesn't it? So let's see what I want to do here. I've got something I copied, and I either do it right after reading data. I think I may do that. But I also kind of want to, when I jump to awaiting data, I kind of want to see where cursor is. I'm going to do something a bit stupid, and I'm going to say I think it's the number first. I'm going to print 32 bytes right, minus 16. So I'm gonna get a before and after. Launch anyway, run on mode. Right. So now I've got loads of data. Okay. So it's also possible that I'm filling my buffer incorrectly. That is very possible. I need to find a way to be able to re-scroll all the way up very easily, because there's 87, 85, 80. Huh? So yeah, so I'm getting content length, and I'm getting then interesting. So even if I read 32 after, I guess it stops because that's the end, right? So that's fine. But then I'm getting DA right at the beginning. What's DA? That's probably 2 line returns. So maybe I actually do need to read all the way to the end of. I can't just say you're finished. Ah, that's the problem. Is that I can't just immediately jump from content length to the end. I need to say you need to find the header. So in here I need to say if ret because okay, this is what I'm gonna have to do. When you finish, you need to do state buffer equals null and state buffer length equals to 0. I'm not gonna bother. So here, if the return is header end, so why right, so if it's header found, you do this, otherwise you get out. And if it's header end and state buffer is null, then this is where I want to do a break, right? Break with a printf missing content length. Start with that as a thing. But yeah, I don't want to go straight up to this, and I may not want to move cursor here specifically because I kind of want, like, yeah, I do want to basically finish this, and I kind of want to basically say, yeah, eat until you finish, until you go to header end. Don't bother reading the rest. I may let it read the rest, but you just don't want to do this. But you found it. Okay. Missing content length. Huh, interesting. Why would I get missing content length? Because state buffer is not going to be null at this point because I mallocked it, right? Well, I guess if it's not in this frame, right, so I think that's my problem, is that I should always just let it if state buffer, I need to reverse it, right? I need to basically say if it is and it's not null, then you do want to basically say cursor equals well, actually I guess I kind of want the end, like I don't know how I'm going to do that. It's going to be, well, I moved all of them. I'm going to move that one for sure. Okay, for sure. Okay, go to state loop. So yeah, I found this, and if it's not null, you go there, and otherwise you just continuously try to find the header. Launch anywhere, normal mode. Okay, reading some data, and you've read the data and you finish. Now the data at the top, which is going to take a while to go to web, because I've got 84 kilobytes of stuff that I'm dumping. Now I'm still DADA and content length is there, so it looks like maybe my reader, my well, actually it makes sense because I'm not moving the cursor to the end. I guess that's the problem, is that I'm reading all them, and that's the end. And if it's the end, I need to add 2, right? I think that's the something that I need to add to my thing, right? If I want to have a HTTP header parser that does something that is interesting, I may want to have it so it doesn't, it provides me some information like that, just like where did you finish this. Okay, I'm going to stop it early because I don't really need to read the whole thing. And in here, I guess the problem that I have is exactly what I just said, which is what I've just hidden. So I'm just going to reduce this by a little bit, make install, clear an OBS, launch anyway, normal mode, wait until I get some data, go back up. I get 1 DA. And DA is for sure going to be \r/n. So there's 2 of them. I guess it makes sense because that's the header end. So I should basically say 4. And what's the value after that? Is 0 and 6E. And D8 and E0. So this is odd because 0 and 6E. Maybe some garbage because I'm printing yeah, that's some garbage. So the reality is if I do +4 and I move to awaiting data, when I come here, I'm going to print out of bounds. And strlen is going to be 0. So if strlen is bigger, no, buffer remaining. So it's going to try to copy. I need to basically copy the smallest one of the 2, right? So if this one is smaller, I want this one. Yeah, but it's weird because if it's 0, I'm going to try to copy 0 here. So I may want to just do a bit of a optimization there. But we'll see about that. All right, and here I'm going to print out of the bounds of the thing. So not great, but normal mode. Okay, then it stops. Now, just for the sake of it, I am going to read and see that the first thing it reads is going to be garbage. So 0 plus garbage. And this, in theory, is what is written in the file. File out JPEG image data. Okay, imv out.jpg. Not necessarily correct. Now, I don't have any thing regarding. There's no problem when it comes to. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. So imv get image info. I don't know why I just go and do things like that. It doesn't really say exec center reset. This is very much like do stuff, not really like what's the information. Okay, so this is going to get a little bit difficult. So I have JPEG information. So next could be like read JPEG header. Oh, JPG dump. Sure, I'm gonna send you my my garbage file, which technically has a picture of it inside of. Well, it might not have a picture. The data is just garbage. Resolution 00. File size is this. Data size is this. Yes. Start of image. Application segment undefined. Okay, so there's something incorrect in that data. Is it possible? No, it would be in the headers, right? So if I read this, because I'm already reading the first four, right? JPEG header. FFD8, FFE0, C below, app 0, and FIF. So D8, FFE0. So this is what I'm getting. I'm getting E0, and then I don't really know. I get S1, S2, and 4A, 46. I don't really have like the length of segment, identifier, G version density, unit X density. Yeah, so that may be a problem that I have. So it's either a mem copy issue, I'm not copying in the right place into the buffer as I build it up. Chunk size seems to be correct. Position of where I write seems to be correct. What I'm writing seems to be correct. I'm changing this by chunk size. I'm moving this by this. I guess one issue I could have is that I mean, there's no point because cursor here is going to be rewritten to be buffer, so I'm technically reading buffer here. I could just do this. D8 FF E0 FF A414 so that's going to be S1 and S2 H2 A2 4A46. I'm not finding 4A46 in here. Interesting. So maybe that's the problem there. It's not correct data. Oh, it's swapped, isn't it? FFD8 FF E0. Then it's 14A4 A2 A0. I mean A4. FFD8 FF E0. FFD8 FF E0. Then I'm getting 2 bytes. And then I'm supposed to get something that makes more sense. But this is what I'm writing. Application uses the app marker to define application-specific meaning of the data. I kind of don't want. There's FFDA and compressed image data. So I don't want application data. Is that correct? Like that's the idea. But I'm not getting anything that seems to be correct there. I mean, this is 4A, and I'm saying A4, so it's not really that. That's an interesting image. I don't care about Python. It's interesting that it has 0, 0, and 10. And that is like application 0, default header. Okay, so there seems to be marker length, identifier, version, unit density, thumbnail, quantization table, okay. And then start of frame. Start of frame is supposed to be FFC0. which I have here actually. I have a bunch of them, which I shouldn't because I'm only getting one frame. So could it be that content length gives me more than a frame at a time? It's possible. That's why it's so big. So I would have more than one image in there. The beginning still seems to be fucked. But let me see. If I clear and then do this, now I should be able to look for FFC0. And actually I should if I C0 FF. It's not in there. I could try to just not head it and just do a cat, which is going to be a bit bigger. And then now I can look for C0FF, which is not even there, or FFC0, which is just the address. Okay, so the data is not there, even though I've printed it. So the writing into the file seems to have caused some issues. But yeah, it's possible that I have more data than I need in there. I'm gonna have to assume I don't. Okay. All right, let's log some stuff. I kind of log this if it's like the first time, or like the second time, realistically, right? I'm actually going to do if I don't want to break, I want to continue. Just to make it simpler. And I could just have like a flip-flop thing. No, better than that. I'm just going to exit. I'm going to break out of this and let it exit. The reality is I kind of want to print some stuff, so I'm going to do a for u in 32t I0 I is smaller than a specific number, let's say 8 for now, plus I, and at that point I can just do this and do cursor at I with a single thing like this, which I think I can do £0, something like that. And then no, I'm just gonna try that. I do want to remove these two, put one here and just do a line return. So that's me printing X amount. Launch, normal, print and stop. Now, that's going to be a bit of a problem because I do want to have maybe a space at the beginning, and I may go back to X, but with X, just X is fine. Okay. Right. Ah, that looks really good. 0, 10, 4A, 46. 4A and 46 is going to be those things, yeah. So this looks correct, and yet when I write it to a file, it does not. There can be a few reasons. I mean, realistically, the mem copy seems to come to mind. I may want to do this and then do print the chunk size. These are like small incremental debugging. Chunk size is 4. That is probably the worst thing ever. unless legitimately stranger for the cursor is that now I can't use strlen on cursor because I will legitimately have a 0 in there. That's what the problem is. I'm gonna have a 0 in there, which is going to terminate my string, so I can't use something like strlen once I've reached that point. The rest is like yeah, so that's a big problem. So strlen cursor is going to be a problem because I basically need to say size t buffer length. It's going to be terrible, but it's going to be cursor minus buffer, and that's the size that I've moved it by, and it's going to be received minus this. And now I just need to do buffer length, which I'll reread every time because I'm moving the cursor. Okay. Launch, run. Chunk size is a big chunk, which means now I should be able to remove this and maybe just let it be, even though it's going to be quite verbose. I think it finished. I should have probably had that, but okay. That looks much better. IMV out the JPEG. Wow. Okay. So this is legitimately the image that I need. That's kind of what I need. I mean, there's some issues. You can tell there's like the one in the back is correct, and it seems to have been rewriting on top of it at different positions. So it's very likely, from what I see, that the content length that I have goes beyond the size that I'm supposed to read, I think. Oh, look at that! I'm just getting some corrupt JPEG data. Okay, but it does seem to do something correct. It's very interesting that there is seemingly here. So, oh, this is just some garbage there. But yeah, I mean, this is the floor that I'm filming, right? So this is correct. This seems to be correct color. This seems to be the top, and this is actually chopped. This is the same thing here. So, okay. So, I am printing until the content length is finished, right? And I'm saying write it. So what could I be doing wrong? The buffer length remaining is 0, so it's correct. I'm writing 1 into the file. Okay. I am doing STBR load from memory to see if that does anything, but that shouldn't do anything anyways. I'm doing okay. Chunk sizes are in here, and they're all the same size. It's interesting that there's so much less seemingly than I thought. I mean, before that it was going on for ages, but I guess it was reading too much anyways. Okay, great. So that makes more sense now. But I'm actually starting to wonder if I'm not getting more FFD8E0 in if I'm maybe getting 2 images somewhere. C0FF is interesting because that's seemingly something that makes sense. I could try to look for it. No, but it looks kind of correct. And like the chunk size, the last chunk size is a smaller number. Although, I don't know if that adds up to 80. I mean, it has to, 87, okay. Alright, let me do a bit of cleanup while I think about what I'm going to do. Not going to print that. It's literally all I'm going to clean up. The rest I'm fine with that, just printing that. So content bound value, this is the number that I have. And I'm just saving that as JPEG. So either it's too short or I'm writing too much. It feels like I'm writing too much because it's printing on top of it. I don't know enough about the way JPEG works, but it seems like there's an outside image and the inside one is not correct. And as it's decoding it, at some point it says incorrect, like seemingly I found I'm in the wrong place. End of image is FFD9. So the question is, do I have FFD9 at the end of this? I do not. But is there FFD9 anywhere? This actually is going to be D9 FF. No, and to be honest, I'm not really. So it is actually possible that it's the other way around, where I'm actually not reading enough, and content length may not be correct. I need content length followed by some data. I think I should be trusting content length. I'm removing chunk size from content length, as that's the amount that I'm reading. Chunk size is kind of odd. 144. What's the size of received? And this is going to be there, and this is going to be the same value, and it's going to be received. So what's the value? What's this? It's the same, except that obviously the last one is not correct. Oh, actually this one's 400. Buffer remaining. Interesting that one of them is 400. 400 seems like very small. See, I got some more data there, and one of them was really small. Oh, I got another found here with another content length. So something seems to have worked a little bit better the second time. Look, I'm getting some more found there. So I think there's a sync issue there. Here I'm getting a small value that looks like text. So my content length might not be correct. Come on, convert. Content, okay. So this is what's going on. So this one seemingly ends. So 1448. Interestingly enough, they all have the exact same size. And I'm reading a bit too much, and I'm adding the content length at the end, which messes up something. To be honest, even this one is like suspicious in terms of like the data. Should I just not go by content length and just go by like, do I find the sentinel in there? Let's try that. It's kind of wasteful to just try to find it. Like, how does that work? I just need to do this, right? Let's try that. Print it for sure, right? So this is what I'm looking for. if, and then this is what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to do this, which is a bit dumb, but I'll put it here. Right, so if this is this, what I'm gonna do is state equals state. I'm gonna say awaiting boundary, but before that I'm gonna say cursor equals found -2. So just find it right away. Okay, and then go to state loop. Great. Otherwise you just add the rest. Now the thing is, this whole buffer remaining thing, I don't know how to deal with it. But if you found it, you also do want to do this. Okay. And if you found it, you still want to copy into the thing everything up to the rest. So I'm gonna go, so this is if you didn't find it, you want to copy remaining, and that's fine. So if it's 0, sure, you can continue and go there, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Chunk size, sure, but you also want to do this right before here, and chunk size is gonna have to be, unfortunately I'm going to do it manually there. So cursor is correct, but how much do you want to copy is cursor, no, it's actually found -2 minus cursor. Something like that, but there's going to be like a line return in there, so I might want to do -4. Like, it's just not going to be super clean, this version there. Okay, I don't know. I should exit when I reach my first one, like here, because I don't want to overwrite partially the file, which may actually have been the issue that I had before. That's a new issue, because I'm not exiting there. I'm not. I guess if I'm inside another loop, am I not breaking correctly? I guess my buffer never contains the boundary. Like, how does that work? I mean, I'm getting content length, so like the sentinel, the boundary should be there. I'm going to do this because it is a pointer, but it's easy to see if it's null. Okay, let's try that for a second. I get a found here. So this actually finished the buffer, and it actually found a new one, and it started running it. Like, if I IMV this, I'm getting like really garbage. I guess because I'm always reading like something that's just not technically at the end. It kind of stops, so it doesn't start again. Like, I'm not really sure how I know. Bound key contains the line return. I got a content type in there again. I got a content length correct, and this is also correct the way it starts, but it looks like I never find the sentinel first. See, I get found. It says found, and it does something. So it's kind of in sync there. I think that makes sense. Okay, let's just see. I am gonna, its workers break here doesn't seem to work, even though it should just very simply, it's because Yeah, let's undo a bunch of that. Let me see if because I'm in a loop, I'm going to remove this, try to find the boundary thing. Great. And I am going to break here, just to see if I'm corrupting the image by starting to write to it again. I didn't run the thing. Launch, run. It should stop, like it should break, and it seemingly did not. And I'm still getting some odd stuff. This one was like smaller, this one was 25. But again, I see this and I'm like, you look like a header. This one was a fun site. Yeah, that's my content. So, and that is like including it in my listing there. It doesn't break at that point. So that means I'm going beyond. But what's before that? Let's see. Let's try to do something like if chunk size is smaller than 50, I'm gonna print the entire buffer. In reality, I may want to print the end of the previous buffer. Because this is correct. I mean, great, I got content length, but I kind of want to see what was the end of that previous one. Could I do something stupid as like if it's not 14448, I might do that. It's just debugging. Let's just yeah, so that's not going to be super useful because it is a string, but it's not a string. It's just I'm getting IE. What's supposed to be my boundary? Boundary is always the same there. It's BA4 something. I don't think there's anything in the spec that says, if I look at this one, I think you just need to wait for the next frontier, to be completely honest. So, although the message could be finished by a \rn. Yeah, there's best 64 there. Each part consists of its own content header, 0 or more content dash header field, and a body. Multiple content can be nested. Sure. Before the first boundary is an error that is ignored by the MIME compliant client. This error is generally used to put a message to users of old up to the send email client. The last boundary must have 2 hyphen at the end. That's the last one if you finish the, I guess if you finish the stream. Yeah, I mean, it's clear to me that I should not go by the content length and basically try to find the end, like the boundary thing. So I'm going to try that again. This was my intuition, and this is what I did. But I do want to say that if I'm awaiting data, I'm going to print some data, sure, but I'm going to go here and say if found is not null, I am just going to printf found uppercase, and I'm gonna break just so that we can see if it even triggers this. Right, so obviously that buffer was not the right size. Content length is that. So it's basically not even finding in that thing. I am looking it in cursor. Cursor is not moved, it's the same one. So I am not finding it, because str is going to stop when it finds a 0, but in JPEG the 0 is valid. So I can't use str to find the boundary. Is there an strn Ignores the case. strn. Oh, that actually exists somewhere. Ah, that exists in libbsd. BSD system. That's kind of annoying. Alright, so what do I do? Do I do a dumb, like, scan the entire, like, find, yeah, I'm gonna have to do one. I'm gonna do one. Static char star find str and const char star haystack const char star needle size t length. It's going to be really dumb because I'm going to do strncmp or strcmp on the needle for like every single thing of the haystack until the length. Yeah, it's going to be really dumb. It's really bad. Let's just make it work and see how it works. For size ti is 0, I is smaller than length, and realistically it's length minus the strlen of needle plus I. If strcmp, I'm going to do strncmp haystack plus I followed by needle str length of needle. To be honest, like, I don't even know if I want to do an strncmp because I mean, this is probably going to, yeah, that's just problematic if I don't. Return haystack plus I. Return, no. Now this is terrible. It's terrible. Let's just do it anyways. Yeah, so it looks like these don't operate on consts, so I won't do that either. So I'm going to need to do that specifically on the other one. I mean, the first one, when you finish the header, it should be safe. But when you're looking at the data, I may just want to do something different. Find str, right? Now the thing is, cursor, I'm going to have to basically figure out the buffer length before I do that. Right, so this should be absolutely terrible in terms of performance. But I reach this point and I find it. At what point, what I would need is to basically say, I have found the end, copy the remainder, and do something else. So for that, what I'm going to need to do is this mem copy, and the chunk size is actually going to be it's going to be annoying for now, but I'm just going to say found -4 is where the end of the data is, and it's going to be that minus cursor. That's the amount of data that I want to copy. And I'll copy that into this, whatever's left there. And instead of break is where I'm going to need to do all of this. I'm going to delete this, and realistically, if the buffer is at 0, I'll just do something else. I'm going to keep it and do break printf buffer not big enough. Okay, so let me think. This can disappear, chunk size can disappear for now. Mem copy. All right, so if I found, I do this. The one thing I do need to do is to I'll break, that's fine, but before I do this, I'm definitely going to need to move cursor equals found plus strlen of state boundary. Now I also need to check that there's a double dash, because if I'm really unlucky, the raw data of the JPEG is going to contain my boundary without the dashes at the beginning. Unlikely, but that could happen. Now what I don't understand why is that I did a break on my loop, which I think is supposed to end something. So either my string comparison is just not working, which is very likely, which is quite likely. I guess if I do strncmp, it doesn't really check the I mean, I tested that before. It was writing found. Just for the sake of it, can I print the image? Oh, okay. Well, the image is fine. So now I've got an image that works. So let's see if. I guess the issue that I have is that I am moving the cursor and going to state loop. I'm doing a break here, but it's weird that breaks does not end the thread. I mean, I guess it ends the thread, but it should just. Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, it just does end the thread and doesn't do anything else. So let's try that. So if I do this, now I should start continuously receive data. Not necessarily correct in that it's just continuing for some reason. Okay, and if I look at the image, yeah, I'm starting to get something odd. Alright, let's just sort that out in a slightly separate time. What I do want to do now is that state has a buffer that has something in it, and I could in here do this, okay, and in render I could paste it here. And I could do something dumb, as in either get the pixels and free them after, like how do I get the first 240 pixels? That's going to be the interesting thing. I mean, this is what I need to do here, right? Yeah, that's kind of what I need to do. I've got row size here. So I yank this, I paste it there, and instead of this I need to do pixels at the same thing, right? So y times raw size plus x times 4, right? And then there's a plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, and then I got a plus 2. Do I have state here? Yes. So I can read that from state buffer length. And the thing is, buffer length is not going to be correct when I do that. And I could also be mid-read, so that's also not going to be correct. So well, I did write with buffer length and he didn't complain when I read it with IMV. There was an 8 of segment though, right? So I may want to do something different. I'm gonna say unsigned char star frame size t. Actually, I'm gonna have this the int 32t width. You know what I'm going to do? Struct frame. And this is going to contain unsigned char start data in 32t width, height, channels. Let's just do that, right? And then what I'm going to do is I am going to go back to the idea that like when I get the frame I just decode it right away. Oh, I got this AV codec stuff going on in create there. That's probably not correct. Yeah, I mean this is as simple as this. Delete this, paste it right there, and instead of this is going to be state frame width, state frame height, state frame channels, and in reality here is going to be state frame dot pixels data. And here I'm going to do a cheeky free state frame dot data, which I should probably somewhere here. Frame dot data. Okay, do that. Next, I've got these errors there, which makes sense. These are actually going to become state frame dot data. Okay, state frame data. That's a dot. State frame data. Now row size is not going to be my row size. I'm going to have to do a uint32t frame row size, which is going to be state frame dot width times state frame dot channels. So here this is going to be frame row size, frame row size, and frame row size. Okay, great. And the times 4 should become 4 here, but when I read it, you should be state frame channels. This is terrible to do it that way. I wonder if I could just literally point to the frame data instead. I think I'm going to do that. It's going to be incorrect, but I should get like weird squares. Oh, let's just do something stupid up. Okay, sec fault is because it's going to try to do something here. So what I should do realistically is say if state frame.data is not null, then you do this. Actually, to be honest, if it is null, going to return. It's getting late. I need to wrap this up soon. I want something on screen. What I'm missing is that my state is never really initialized as like nothing in there. So I think in there should be create somewhere. Connect, disconnect, create here. See state malloc. I think what I'm missing here is this. Realistically. Okay, so I can't really see, but I guess I am seeing something. So what I would like to do is kind of an automatic resize, and I don't have time to do that because my idea is to say that on render I know the size, or like even when I read the data I could just say if the last size was not that, I can just change it. So in here what I could do is if state frame, I need it here, in 32t old width old height equals state frame dot width state frame dot height, because I could just remap and move and stuff like that, but like I'm doing software blitting of like raw data and it's not great. If I can just say, oh, that's the source, I can just literally say whatever STBI has is what you have. And realistically load from memory, I may want to just give it a place to put it rather than this later on, but yeah, anyways. If state frame dot width is different from old width, or state frame dot height is different from, maybe STBI didn't decode it properly, that could be an issue. I don't think it would. I think STBI would be a good boy in this situation. If it's different, then I need to trigger a size change, and this is where I kind of need to go into here, because I kind of want to see there's get name, create, destroy, get width, get height, great, get defaults, get properties, update, activate, deactivate, show, hide, video tick, video render. What I'm not sure about is like, how do I tell like if I make a, like these are callbacks, so I can't actually have access to that, so it's not what I'm looking for. OBS plugin refresh size, like how do I just tell it to refresh the size? It's not going to be a time. So let me try to see if my AI stuff is running. In a COBS plugin with a custom source, how do I notify OBS of a width and height change? That does not seem correct. Yeah, you just made it up, didn't you? Alright, you just made it up. Do I have OBS's core graphics API? How about the source? OBS core graphics. Do I have source somewhere? No. Core API, sources. What can you do? General, source function. Register, duplicate, get ref, release, remove is hidden, get up with flags. Update. Update the settings for a source and calls the OBS source info update callback of the source. If the source is a video source, just invite will not be called immediately. Okay, update is not necessarily a bad idea. I hope it would then recalculate the size. Okay. I'm gonna try OBS source update. The only thing that I don't have is in, for example, in create, it does give me the source, so I think I can store the source there. So in my state, I'm gonna have a struct OBS source t source. I just need to do this, don't I? Oh man. Don't have to do this. OBS source state pointer, okay. Okay, now in create, I'm gonna say state source equals source, okay, and then I should be able to just say when the size changes, OBS source update state source. Settings. Oh man, I don't do that. The thing is, get width and get height. Does it get called all the time? Like, how often does it called get width and get height? What if I just go there and say this, and then the get width and get height? Is it just like at the top, get width, get height? Yeah. Could I just say printf get it? Oh yeah, so it's getting it all the time. That's great. That's going to work for me, because that way I don't need to like, oh, if the size changes, do this, do that. What I can do is return state frame dot width state frame dot height, which now I realize it doesn't have a state. Struct state, which does not exist here just yet. Great. State equals data, and I'm gonna v all of this, yank it, paste it right there, and then I'm gonna move these two to under state. Okay, now I shall remember that I do have something that is hard-coded to 240 here in texture data, which I don't need any more texture data, if I remember well. So texture create is going to have to be the state frame width state frame height, as well as state frame width and height. State frame width state frame height. Now the thing is, if there's no data, it's going to return, so this is going to be set. It's not going to show you anything. I am going to remove from here the texture data, just because I wanted to see if it's used anywhere. Launch, run, code dump. It's possible that it is expecting something with 4 channels, and that's not correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell this that I'm interested in 4 channels, and hopefully it's going to return to me that number. Oof. That is working. That's insane. Something is working. Okay, can I... Why is this so big? I guess I scaled it up initially. There you go. So yeah, I mean, I am buffer not big enough. Okay, great. So it failed, but that's my IP camera. There's obviously a problem in like the actually getting the frame data. Like my hand was showing for a second there. So obviously I'm not reading the thing properly, but it looks like the update is there. Yeah, there you go, my hand is there. I can actually put like something in front of it to make it more interesting, maybe. Don't know if it has autofocus enabled correctly. Yeah, yeah. I was just showing the this thing here. Book. So that's working. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. My phone say 11 and my laptop say 11:02. I think it goes to show that my phone is a minute behind. Oh look, I got a really nice frame this time. Something in it. So obviously I've got a problem in the streaming area, but it looks like STBI decodes the frame that I can potentially read, like the JPEG, and then I can give that as like just like a raw data to a texture for the one thing that I'm not a big fan of is that I am going to do a transfer from CPU to GPU all the time, but that makes sense because I'm getting that JPEG from the network, so I have to do anyway. But with the size of it and the decoding and everything, I don't know if it's super efficient to just upload to the GPU on every frame. I don't know if there's a workaround. I don't know if that can be put into I don't know if STBI could be told to write to a GPU mapped thing, so that it's not like the super efficient one, but it's a bit faster rather than having to copy from like a CPU buffer to a GPU buffer. I still need a CPU buffer for my like the JPEG, but that's not too bad. But yeah, so what I want to do, actually, because I've got it running here, I've got a to-do here. So connect to URL done, stream the data, AV codec, we don't need a decode frame, is kind of there. Okay, so we do that. What we need to do is pre-alloc reusable memory for JPEG frames, right? That's a simple thing. Look into reuse with STB image. That's the thing I'm missing. And then what else do we need to do there? I'm actually gonna make sure this actually stops the server now, because I don't want it to be running too long. What was I thinking about? I was thinking about how it works, but it doesn't obviously fix streaming issue. Obviously fix that streaming issue. Look into GPU mapped buffer from OBS. Can OBS give me a GPU mapped buffer that I can then give to STB image to write to rather than something else? I don't think I need the double buffering because I may need to, because it's going to be thread. Yeah, because STB image is going to run its own thread, so that means that I could be reading something else in flight. So I need set up double buffering for source for frame. So I need two frames, one that I'm writing to, one I'm reading from, and I swap them when they're ready. So I'm writing to one, the other one is ready, and then as soon as I finish writing, I can then say this one is the one you should read from now. And because the operation that just changes those two is atomic, it shouldn't be an issue in concurrency. But yeah, so that's working. That's pretty cool. I do need to figure out this boundary thing. Oh yeah, that's the thing. Seek needle for boundary is poo-poo, aka it's really bad. Anyways, let's see if this still works. It does. Oh, but my camera is huge. Let me put myself like this. All right, so we're getting closer, and then if it starts working at some point, I can actually use a phone with the IP webcam app installed on it, and then just use that as an OBS source. That also opens the door to a whole slew of interesting things to integrate with OBS and graphics and things like that. But anyways, that was the stream for today. My drop frames is much lower than it used to be, but I've been streaming in 720p, so not great. But yeah, I hope to have that fixed. I'll stream again tomorrow. Hopefully we can do much more on that. Maybe set up the settings. That'd be great. Anyways, that's it for today. Bye.